Good afternoon, New Orleans, or wherever you may be. It's 4 o'clock Wednesday, so this must be the Baldy and The Blonde show. I'm Tom Kowitz with
Michele Godin.
Michele Godin. Hey, Michele.
Hey, Tom. Tom.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, the first thing I wanted to let you know is that there's a mothership hovering over the building.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a mothership, and it's
What do you-
it's really
I never know what you're talking about.
It's-
You say stuff like that cryptically, and I seriously have no idea what you're talking about.
Cryptoli. We'll get to that later. Cryptocurrency's coming up.
Okay, get on with it.
Yes, but I just want to let you know there's a mothership, and it's unloading drones. Okay, really, there is a mothership.
Speaking of droning, you are droning. What are you talking about?
It just came out in the news that there's a mothership on the East Coast, and drones are being launched out of it. But don't worry, the FBI's got it.
I'm probably the only person in America that has not even heard this news story.
No,
I've been busy all day.
Well, they
Seriously,
can't
I don't
figure
even
it
know what
out.
you're talking about.
Okay, well, it's being reported that there is a mothership releasing drones on the East Coast, but not to where it's just that the FBI is very busy with grandmas and January 6th, so they triangulate the phones and they're able to find
That
anyone.
they can do.
That they can do, but don't ask them to figure out the drone that is releasing baby drones up the East Coast.
I seriously don't even know. Okay, when I get home, I'll take a look at this.
Go to one of the news aggregators and you'll see it.
All right.
Yeah, but we're busy looking for the real criminals in this country. But a new day is dawning, and some of those people are probably going to see the light of day after 4 years of incarceration over misdemeanors.
Well, they've been treated horrifically.
Horrific, yes.
It's not justice. That's
No,
for sure.
3 trials started this week. Even though it's clear that the American people rejected the weaponization of the justice system, which, guess who admitted that the justice system's been weaponized?
Tell me, please.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it begins with a J, and his initials are JB.
Jeez. Really?
Yes.
What did he have to say?
He said that he had to pardon little Hunter. This is coming from the lips of dementia Joe Biden, that he has to pardon Hunter because the justice system has been weaponized. I'm not kidding. I guess I could read the quote.
Nothing surprises me that comes out of his
handy.
drooling mouth.
Let's see. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to look for the quote, but he's absolutely said that's okay, here's how he said it. Political bias has infected the justice system.
Well, okay, he's right about that.
I agree. But the infection is usually there's usually immunity to that infection for anyone with a Democrat or Marxist connotation to their political affiliation. But anyway.
Well, there's no question it has been weaponized, but certainly not in the manner and direction that he's talking about.
Not against the Bidens, and maybe we'll take a look at the Biden's criminal history, because since Hunter has been pardoned, and just, as a lawyer, I'll say the pardons usually are, let's say Hunter, as it was, he got a sweetheart deal and he was only prosecuted for the lowest level of the crimes that he had committed, or that at least they had a basis to try him for. And that was the tax charge in this gun.
And it was just lying on a form. It wasn't
lying on a form, right?
Yeah, well, you hear gun charge. It's like,
yeah, it was that he didn't disclose that he had an addiction problem when he bought a gun. So obviously, what had happened was the prosecutor let the statute of limitations run on the serious charges. Nonetheless, there's enough concern out there that the president did not issue a pardon for those 2 crimes of which he's been convicted. Instead, it's a sweeping 14-year time period. 10 years from 2014 to now. And anything he did, which would include all of his schemes with the big guy. Who's the big guy?
Well, I think we know who the big guy is. We actually have a clip. We have a pretty good clip that's related to everything you're talking about now.
Yeah, because the thing is that
Joe
was helping himself, because the scheming that went on with Joe and Hunter involved Joe, but Hunter has now been pardoned for his part in it. So yeah, let's hit it.
So wait, set this one up. This is Mike Davis. Okay. Talking to your mic, Michele.
Is Mike first? Okay.
Well, it can be.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the one who brought it up.
No, I mean, Mike's good. We can go to that.
All right, set this one
Mike
up.
Davis is a constitutional lawyer, and he's going to discuss the pardon And I think he does a good job of explaining it. And he is no wilting flower. He actually was the law clerk for Judge Gorsuch, so he's smart. And some people thought he might be the AG. So anyway, let it roll.
Once you give someone a pardon like this, at least for federal crimes, you cannot assert your Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination if you don't face criminal jeopardy. And by giving this pardon to Hunter, he doesn't face federal criminal jeopardy. Now, he could argue possibly that if he testifies, it could subject him to state charges for corruption. But as it relates to federal charges, he cannot assert the Fifth Amendment for his testimony before grand juries or Congress. And I would say this to the House Judiciary Committee, the House Oversight Committee, the House Intel Committee: get moving on subpoenaing Hunter Biden. Make him testify, because this is so much bigger than hookers and blow with this scumbag. This is about the President of the United States being compromised by $23 million and counting to his family members, and they need to do an intel assessment to figure out what did Joe Biden give to these corrupt foreign actors in exchange for this $23 million to Joe Biden's family.
Hell yeah, because so what he's saying is that, okay, so maybe he does have a pardon that covers that whole time period, but get his butt before committees, before any kind of judicial, any kind of hearing where he's under oath, he is still subject to perjury. He can't assert the fee. He can't say, I refuse to testify because it might incriminate me, because he can't be incriminated.
Can't be incriminated.
Do whatever he wants.
For federal
but he can
crimes.
be, yes, he can be if he lies. So
Right, that's a new crime.
yeah,
at that
that's
point.
a new crime, and so he will have that hanging over his head, and he knows this is not the right atmosphere
He
for
just-
Hunter to lie. Right?
He just won't show up.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. He may, if he doesn't
See how
show
far
up.
that flies.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, so just to show you kind of the difference in treatment of the Biden crime family and others. There's a man named James Comer who's the head of one of the congressional committees investigating, and 6 banks, not one, not two, but 6 banks filed 170 suspicious activity reports with regard to the Biden banking. And James Comer, before he was a congressman, was a banker, and he said that in his 10 years in a major bank, he saw 2 suspicious activities.
2 in 10 years, yes.
2 in 10 years. The Bidens had 170 suspicious activity reports filed, not by Republicans, but by J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and others with the Treasury Department, and nothing happened.
And a lot of apologists for the Biden crime family have said they try to downplay that number.
Right.
And they downplay that suspicious activity report by suggesting it's kind of routine. It's like an overdraft fee, right. Where it's not, obviously. So where a guy like Comer saw 2 in 10 years. And he also did say that if you get 1 of these or 2 of these, you might be debanked.
Yes.
Like, you can't get a bank account.
That's it. And we're going to show you some people who were treated just the same as the Bidens. But basically what the Bidens were doing was they were funneling money through 20 shell companies that were all, owned by Biden family members, including grandchildren, except the grandchild they don't acknowledge.
Yeah, right.
That poor kid wasn't in on the shell game. But meanwhile, normal people like, Melania Trump, Barron Trump, have been debanked. And that means that all of a sudden your bank says, sorry, we're closing your accounts and you can't do business with us.
You're not going to get an account after that. And it goes beyond banking. And we do have a clip that we will play on the other side of the bank from a guy named Mark Andreessen.
Yeah, he explains it pretty well. But
yeah, he does.
I mean, just imagine all of a sudden you're running your business, Joe's Snowball Stand, whatever it is. And sorry, Joe, you've done some things, which we'll explain on the other side, but basically you're what we call in the banking regulations a politically exposed person. And a politically exposed person can be cut off by a bank, and now you don't get to funnel your Joe Snowball money through your bank account. I guess you deal in cash now only.
Right. You can't take credit cards.
Right. Can't do anything. And that's the treatment that, to think that Melania and Barron were debanked, but lots of crypto businesses, tech businesses.
Dozens.
Yes, lots.
Yes.
So we'll talk more about this
But
on the
the
other side.
Bidens just...
Yeah, no, they're scot-free, baby. That's it. And Hunter, he's been pardoned.
And let me tell you,
Blanket pardon.
There's a lot of disturbing aspects to this whole Biden crime family story. Maybe the most disturbing of all is that everyone knows.
You know what?
Everyone knows.
And they all covered
it up. We know. Washington, everyone
FBI
knows.
knew, DOJ knew. And then what are they doing? Chasing ladies saying rosaries at abortion clinics.
Right.
It really is disgusting, and I cannot wait for the change in leadership in this country. I can't wait. And the fact that we had to have...
Joe's never going to pay a price.
No. Well, he wouldn't know if he did at this point.
Anyway, this is Tom Coates, Michele Godin. Together we are Baldy and The Blonde. We're here Wednesday at 4 o'clock. We will be back on the other side of this break.
Yeah, we're superstars. Anyway, this is Baldy and the Blonde. I'm Michele Godin along with Tom Coates. We are here every Wednesday at 4. You can also listen to us, baldyandtheblonde.com, which will direct you to links to the show that you can listen to without commercials. We're here every Wednesday, and we try to cover the juicy news, and there is a lot of it. So we were talking about the fact that the Bidens have used the banking system to advance corruption and shell companies and millions of dollars obtained from foreign governments for God knows what. Meanwhile, people on the other side of the fence have been debanked, where they cannot use a bank. And that includes, I already said, Melania Trump, Barron Trump, but also just lots of regular businesses. And we have a clip from Mark Andreessen, who is a financial expert.
I didn't know much about him, honestly, till I found this clip, so I had to look him up. He developed Mosaic. Do you remember Mosaic was the first widely used web browser?
I don't remember that.
Back when you were on your Commodore 64 or whatever we were using back
I didn't
then.
have that.
On your, seriously, like on a 386, I think is... that's how long ago this stuff was, early, mid-90s,
Okay.
He developed that, and I think he's a co-founder of Netscape, which that's a blast from the past as well. But he's been a player in the tech world for a long time. Now he's a venture capitalist billionaire, which these days among the left, I mean, that's like a death sentence.
That's it. You're debanked.
Well, no, I mean, they literally think that venture capitalists
should literally be killed. Yes, they're cheering for it.
Yeah, they are. Anyway, so
referring, of
this
course,
is
to
Mark
the insurance.
Andreessen on the Joe Rogan podcast explaining the whole concept of debanking.
Under the Obama administration, they started to debank legal marijuana businesses, escort businesses, and then gun shops, just like your gun manufacturers. And just like you're done, you're out of the banking system. And so if you're running a medical marijuana dispensary in 2012, like you, guess what? You're doing your business all in cash. You literally can't get a bank account. You can't get a Visa terminal. You can't process transactions. You can't do payroll. You can't do direct deposit. You can't get insurance. Right? None of that stuff is available. And then this administration extended that concept to apply it to tech founders, crypto founders, and then just generally political opponents. This is one of the reasons why we ended up supporting Trump. It's like we can't live in.
By the way, he was a lifelong Democrat. Always supporting Democrats. And you heard that as a result of all this, he realizes this is not the world that we want to live in. There's more to this clip. I'm going to finish it. I just wanted to interrupt it.
Yeah, go ahead.
But you notice it started back in 2012 under Obama.
Yeah.
This debanking thing goes back a long time with legal businesses.
Most of the tyranny, I mean, I'll just say Obama ramped up Bush's tyranny on steroids. I mean, he did. He put it on steroids.
Yeah. All right, let's finish the clip.
In this world, we can't live in a world where somebody starts a company that's a completely legal thing and then they literally get sanctioned and embargoed by the United States government. No due process. None of this is written down. There's no rules. There's no court. There's no decision process. There's no appeal.
It cut out.
He said there's no appeal. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, where do you appeal getting your bank account closed?
Yeah.
As you said, no due process. There's no nothing. You're just out.
It's an interview really worth listening to, and it's Mark Andreessen on Joe Rogan. Really worth it.
Now, again, this goes back many years, and just hearing the term debanking or I was debanked, you would know intuitively, instantly, what somebody's talking about, even if you've never heard of it. But here, this is interesting. Here's what Saturday Night Live did. This was maybe 10 months ago, something like that. When Trump used the term debanked or debanking, they made fun of him. They poked like
as if
he
it was
made
not
up
a
some
thing.
stupid
it's not a
new
thing.
word. Exactly. And they knew what they were doing because anybody knows. You hear the word debank, you know immediately what they're talking about, but they goofed on him.
Trump did have a slight stumble this week while talking about banks, and he introduced an interesting new term called debank.
We're also going to place strong protections to stop banks and regulators from trying to debank you. They want to debank you, and we're going to debank.
I don't know what the hell debank means, but he might have to take de-ambulance to see the doctor.
Of course they don't. You hear that, you know exactly what somebody is talking about, even if you've never heard the term.
I mean, it's possible they're that stupid.
No.
But they're certainly not funny.
No,
so,
no.
They're
not
yeah,
that stupid.
As usual, they just run cover for everything. But the thing is, they have been exposed. So that's why we're sitting here right now.
But if anybody's going to be debanked, it's the Bidens. 170 suspicious activity reports.
And no consequences for that so far. But hey, a new day is coming, and Mr. Christopher Wray quit today. Bye-bye. And I guarantee you that the new and unbiased, even-handed, due process-oriented Department of Justice, FBI, et cetera, who answers to the people is going to look at this. And if, in fact, it certainly appears that there is a basis to prosecute the Bidens, then it will be done.
And as we've said
Except for
before on
Hunter.
this show, nobody's looking for retribution. We're looking for justice.
Accountability.
Yeah, if somebody's broken the law, then and not just the Bidens, but
And you cannot have a justice system that is not even-handed.
well,
And that's what we have.
not right. You can have something that's a justice system in name, but not truly a
Yes.
justice system.
It
right?
has not been
So
operating fairly.
Okay, so we have 3 separate short clips by James Comer. He's the chair of the House Oversight Committee, and he's talking about what we've been talking about.
The Biden crimes.
Yeah, with those SARs, the suspicious activity reports.
And it's important to know that Comer's background before he was in the House, he's a banker, high-level banker.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's been in the banking world for many years. Here's the first one.
It's unprecedented. As someone who's been involved in banking, there's never been an instance that I've ever heard of, or in talking to bankers around America, where a family has been involved in so many suspicious activity reports. This is where the bank files notice with the Treasury Department that they fear their client is engaged in some type of criminal activity.
So this gets filed with the Treasury Department.
Yeah,
Because they are concerned, the bank is concerned
Yeah.
that their customer.
And they have reported on the Bidens over 170 times when 2 is a lot. Let's roll with the next one.
Yeah, I think I might have went out of order.
It's unprecedented. As someone,
I did go out of order. So let me go back to the one
okay.
I meant to play first.
there's 170 suspicious activity reports, but then there's another several dozen suspicious activity reports that were filed on other people, but Biden family members were the subject of those, meaning they were involved in some type of transaction, involved with a major wire that had been flagged by a bank. That's what happens when you are engaged in money laundering.
Wow. Got
Right.
time for the next one?
Yeah, let's see. The
just
next one's
roll
a quick.
as we-
Here we go.
I spoke to the Kentucky Bankers Association in Washington 2 weeks ago, and I was telling them about all these suspicious activity reports, and they couldn't believe it. A lot of banks, in Kentucky anyway, may not issue more than 1 or 2 suspicious activity reports a year.
So when he said he spoke to this Kentucky group a couple weeks ago, that this interview is about a year old.
Yeah.
So all of Washington has been knowing about this forever,
They have covered up the Biden crime families.
but not even covered up.
And what have they done?
we know about it.
Let me ask you this. What did China and our other enemies get for the money they paid the Bidens? Wouldn't that be interesting to know?
Well, that would be interesting to know.
If we had an FBI, functioning FBI, we would know. So this is Baldy and the Blonde. You can follow us, baldyandtheblonde.com, at baldyblonde on X, and we will see you on the flip side. Coming right back.
Welcome back to the Baldy and the Blonde Show. I'm Tom Kowitz with your co-host, Michele Godin.
Hello, Thomas.
You get to be the blonde one every week. I have to be the bald one every single week.
Just
we
isn't going to change.
I guess not.
Listen, there is Elon Musk. He does have Neuralink. Maybe he solves that issue too. Can you imagine the money to be made?
Oh, geez.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm too old to care about that. I'll finish up. Life
You're
this
cute anyway. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
All right. So listen, we were talking about the Biden crime family, who, received 23 to $24 million in various shell company payments from China and other foreign sources. What could possibly go wrong? Why
you
would
say that like that's a bad thing?
Right.
Like there's something wrong with that.
Like maybe when that balloon floated over our military bases across the U.S. and Joe looked the other way, maybe, who knows? But Hunter now can be forced to testify in, let's say there's a trial against Joe and the other Biden family. Hunter can be forced to testify because he has no right against self-incrimination because he cannot be incriminated.
Well, there is a way out.
What is it?
I don't want to give him any ideas.
Don't talk about it.
He could just go to a non-extradition country.
Oh,
Serious,
well,
just go.
That's true. And
just-
he might.
And he might.
He don't like the big guy. You know, you can tell if you listen to those tapes. Hunter's always like, "I'm tired of being,
Because
I have to give my dad the big guy 10%. I'm sick of it, So he may, who knows why he got a pardon, right? He might have shook old daddy down. Shakedowns are a Biden thing,
yeah,
right?
yes.
Yeah. In
Well, he's
fact,
such
that's-
an upstanding guy. Any
in
country
fact-
would be glad to have him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We do have a Well, you know what? Let's do Tony first. Anyway, there was a guy that worked with the Bidens, Hunter, Joe, etc., and he came forward before the election of 2020 to explain that indeed Joe was part of the operation to get money from other countries. And that, Joe was saying, oh, it's just Hunter's deal. I never interfere with Hunter's deal. Well, of course, that was not true. And this guy, Tony Bobolinsky, who was a person who received medals for his military service in the Navy, working on nuclear plants, a high-level military officer with an impeccable background, unlike his business partners. And he, because he wasn't the president, he wasn't doing anything wrong. But the president was selling his influence. That's the allegation, and Bobolinsky backs that up by explaining who Hunter means when he says he's got to give the big guy 10%. So here's Tony Bobolinsky.
And this is not a new clip. This was from March of 2024 in testimony in front of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability.
Right.
The hearing there.
And this is all important right now because Hunter just got the pardon.
Oh yeah.
This is all in other words,
Yes.
this is old stuff,
We're just
but it's
tying it all together.
Tying it all with
And
a little bow.
I think you're going to hear another voice in the clip. It's Representative Jim Jordan's doing the questioning.
Mr. Bobolinsky, who's the big guy? Are you sure about that? Because
Joe Biden.
You're sure?
I'm 1,000% sure.
Because when Hunter Biden did his deposition under oath, he said, I don't know who it is, even though he was copied on an email that said H will hold 10% for the big guy. You sure it's the big guy is Joe Biden?
1,000%. And there's other text messages that back that up, that the brave whistleblowers, Shapley and Ziegler, have produced, not from my phones, not from my BlackBerry that I took screenshots from. They took them from subpoenas directly from Apple's iCloud that back up the fact that Hunter knew the big guy was Joe Biden.
There you go. That's pretty damning. And so why, if the House has had all this information under oath for a real long time, have they done nothing? I mean, what about national security? Really? Is our national security tied up in nonsensical political persecutions of J6ers? Well, we actually have a president getting money from our enemies? I am bewildered by it. And it's not just Bobolinsky, as he referred to. It's IRS whistleblowers who testified under oath that the Department of Justice showed preferential treatment of Hunter. And so did his former business partner, Devin Archer, who clearly said that the brand that he and Hunter were selling to foreign companies was Joe. And they were using their access to Joe to signal that they had the ability to influence U.S. affairs through the big guy, Joe Biden.
This kind of thing has been going on forever, and not just in the U.S., but all over the world and all throughout time. And I don't mean at this scale. And,
yeah, this is pretty bad.
But influence peddling, come on.
Yeah. I bet you Hillary has had a hard time. I bet Hillary's had a hard time raising money for the Clinton Foundation since she's currently out of power.
That's dried up. Do you think Billy Carter could have really developed his own beer if his brother wasn't president? I mean, come on.
Billy Bear.
He peed outside and got away with it.
He could do whatever he wanted.
Got a presidential pee pardon,
That's
I guess.
it.
But the point is
point.
that this stuff, it's not shocking that it goes on. What's shocking here is the depth and breadth of this.
Well, and that nothing was done.
And nothing is done. And
Nothing.
all of Washington knows.
And we're supposed to have faith in our justice system.
Right.
And I thought, I think we played this maybe in the first show, that Matt Gaetz was questioning Christopher Wray, the, as of today, former FBI director, about the literal language of what is a shakedown, well, as vis-a-vis Joe Biden. So good time to play that again.
All right, here we go.
I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain.
Wait, I'm going to start it over.
Stop. Yeah, let me say what he's doing.
Yeah.
He is quoting, this is literally, Matt Gaetz is quoting Hunter Biden's conversation with a foreign person who he's trying to get money from. And he's referring to his father, Joe Biden. In other words, Joe's right here. So either you do what I want or my daddy's going to know.
So here, yeah, it starts out with Matt Gaetz again quoting Hunter Biden.
Yeah, he's quoting Hunter.
I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI
Well, you
does
won't
not
answer
and
the
has
question.
no
Hold on.
interest in
You won't answer the
protecting
question
anyone
about whether or not
politically.
that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing.
Perfectly put.
Perfectly.
Everybody knows that's a shakedown, and there's Ray like, I'm not going to comment on that. How am I supposed to know?
How would I know? I'm just the head of the FBI,
Yeah.
charged with
what's a
investigating such
shakedown?
things. A shakedown? Really, Hunter saying, hey, I'm right here. My daddy's here.
Waiting on your call.
Waiting on the call. Okay. I mean, anyway, we definitely don't have time to get into this, but Senator Chuck Grassley wrote a letter to Christopher Wray, which, I mean, this is just Michele Godin's pure speculation, but I would suspect it might have had a little influence over the timing of Ray's resignation, because it's dated December 9th. You can look it up. Senator Chuck Grassley's letter to Christopher Wray, and he says things like, you've continued to read from the old playbook of weaponization, double standards, and a relentless game of hide and seek with the Congress. And he just goes through, the many times he's asked him to produce things, he doesn't do it. And he's just not a straight shooter. Quote, promises made, promises broken has become a recurrent theme under your leadership, close quote. And Chuck Grassley is no, hair on fire guy. Neither is Comer. The other.
Oh, yeah, right,
He's
right.
a real,
It's not like you and me in Congress.
It's not like Matt Gaetz, right? It's not. These are very staid, kind of old school guys, and they've had it, So I hope that the result of the pardon, that it blows up in the face of the rest of the Biden family.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
And
to actually get real justice?
It would be so shocking.
I was just going to say that because you and I, we laugh all the time that nothing
ever
shocks
happens.
us. No, well, nothing ever
yeah,
shocks
no,
us
nothing
because they've been getting away with everything,
Away
just
with
horrific.
everything. They did.
But that one would be shocking.
Okay.
The only thing that would shock me is something good happens.
Yeah, but good is happening. Good is
It's-
happening. I'm worried that old Joe, or who's ever really running the country, because God only knows, pardons the rest of the Bidens, except maybe they'll pin it on the illegitimate child of Hunter. Maybe
She did it.
She did
It was
it.
her all along.
It was always her.
I knew it.
Yeah, poor little kid. But someday she'll probably be thankful that they didn't give her the name Biden.
Well, there's undoubtedly more pardons coming. Here's how you know. Because traditionally, presidential pardons come on the last day
Yep.
or maybe the day before, but it's pretty common that they do it on the last day, and I would too. You just do it on the way out, and then you don't have to listen to the grief because you're not in office anymore. This one with Hunter came early because the sentencing was coming up.
I mean, but
there's plenty more coming.
They've had plenty of time. I mean, I doubt that most people even know that the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means Committees in August 2024 found that Joe Biden had committed impeachable offenses through abuse of office and conspiracy to peddle influence for family enrichment.
And nothing happened.
Nothing happened. So, well, something did happen, right? His ass is got.
Oh, well,
they got.
Yes, that happened.
The bums got kicked out.
Yes,
so,
that happened.
And we see some real disruptors, and I mean that in the best way possible, because we need some disruption. Disruptors are on the horizon.
But you do know Joe's never going to be punished for
No,
any of
Joe's
this.
not.
No way.
He's an old man, Tom, and he's too old. But anyway, this is Baldy and the Blonde. I'm Michele Godin. We will be back after the break. Welcome back, New Orleans and everywhere else. This is Michele Godin and Tom Coates. We are Baldy and the Blonde, and we're here every Wednesday at 4. We stream live at WGSO.com, and you can listen to our shows anytime at baldyandtheblonde.com, where they stream without commercials, and you can download them and listen to them at your leisure. Also, please, if you would, follow us at Baldy Blonde on X, and give us a like at the Baldy and the Blonde radio show on Facebook, although I know that's a boomers, man.
And if you really, really did want to support
we
the
are
show,
boomers.
like the Bidens, we do take cash. And separate from that, if you...
He's lying.
I would take cash, and then I just won't tell you I got it.
And then
I
you'll
won't
get
split it with you.
those suspicious activity reports.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's it. Just like the Bidens. So I'm sure everything will go well for you.
Oh, I'm sure
it'll
it'll
be
go
fine.
fine.
Sure
So,
it'll be
but
fine.
besides the heaps of cash, if you go to our YouTube page and just join, you could subscribe.
Yes, please.
And
It's free.
Seriously, it's easy for you to do that.
Free.
All of you can do that right now.
Yeah.
Just go to YouTube.
And even easier is liking the Facebook page. Tom's
do
not
that.
on Facebook. He doesn't know.
I don't
But
do
it's so
Facebook.
easy.
It is.
To subscribe on YouTube, you have to enter your, have to sign in.
Well, then
okay?
do it.
Just do it.
And then like all of our videos.
But X is fun. Come on, X is the fun place. In fact, we're going to start doing some little live things on there to encourage some crowd participation.
Okay.
Yes, I haven't
If you say so.
talked with Mr. Tom.
No, it's
yet,
news
but-
to me, but okay.
All right, so coming up now, we have been long-time fans of Ron and Rand Paul because we are on the libertarian side, which is, thank God, the side that is currently ahead in the Republican Party. So, following the tutelage of the Pauls, we are strong advocates of honesty in government, fair play for everyone, and Rand Paul currently, and has for the last few years, been keeping track of crazy waste in government, including things like, let's see, a Barbie doll photo used to get COVID PPP funds, Dr. Fauci's monkey business on Monkey Island, Russian cats on a treadmill studies that we funded up to, I think, $2.7 million, all kinds of crazy, the National Institute of Health studying meth head monkeys, for a portion of a $12 million grant. So these are just some of the finer things our government's using our money for.
If that was a movie, I'd go see it.
With meth head monkeys?
I would absolutely go see that. Or if it was a band, I would go see that.
That is, you know what?
I would go see Meth
that's a
Head
good
Monkeys.
name.
It's an awesome name for a band.
It really is a good name for a band.
Well, I think I don't play any instruments or sing, but I'm just going to start a band just so I could have that name because it's so cool.
You're right.
Meth Head Monkeys.
So anyway, Rand is interviewed recently, and he's talking with Dave Rubin about the waste in government, and he says something I really didn't know. But, Vivek and Elon Musk are in charge of looking for government waste and where to cut it. So, of course, Rand Paul is helping with that. And they asked his daddy, Ron, probably the most ethical person to ever participate in government, to help them, too, because he, too, is anti-waste. So let's listen to Rand talk about waste.
If you look at efficiency, and you want to have efficiency in government, and you look at Elon Musk's career, one of the things he did at SpaceX is instead of getting contracts that were cost plus, they began having competitive contracts. And so with a cost plus contract, Boeing could have a $1 billion contract and they get 10%. They have cost overruns and it's $2 billion, they get 10% of $2 billion.
Here's what it means by that. A cost plus contract is if the contract is for $1 billion,
Yep.
then you get 10%. Your cut as the contractor is 10% of that. So if there's a cost overrun, you get 10% of the overrun. So you're incentivized to overrun.
And that sounds like a normal business deal, right? I mean, if I quote my client wrong, I eat it. Okay.
Let's finish the clip.
$2 billion, they get a bigger profit. And so getting rid of that and having competitive contracts will help a great deal. I think there's all kinds of things like that can happen through government, attrition of employees, firing of employees, but also sending money back, doing things for less money and sending the money back.
Imagine that if they did that. That would be like shocking, right?
You know, some of these clips say stop with like 5 seconds to go.
Why do they?
I don't know.
Well, I know where it was headed because... Anyway, what he goes on to talk about is a story about a guy who worked at the EPA. He wasn't just a little worker. He was the number 2 at the EPA. He was their highest paid employee and supposedly a leading expert on something, climate change. Come to find out, he hadn't been showing up at work. And they asked him, well, where you been? After 12 years, somebody noticed that he hadn't been coming to work.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. It was 12 years. At least it's the article I read said it was 12 years.
I might try that.
So in one 18-month stretch in June of 2011, he did, quote, absolutely no work, close quote, as his lawyer acknowledged in a sentencing memo that he filed with the court. So anyway.
No work.
Yeah, no, 0. Okay, so meanwhile, we have all of these. I wonder how many people even know that our federal employees are not working in their offices. They're at home. Doing what? I don't know. So recently, Biden, by the stroke of a pen, said 42,000 Social Security workers can work at home, continue working. They don't need to come back yet.
Or not work at home.
Yeah, or not work at home, kind of like Mr. EPA. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to what Elon and Vivek, who, these two guys have made their bones in industry by slashing waste. And I'd love to see what they can do in the government. Be real interesting.
Well, and I agree with all of those sentiments and everything that Rand Paul said and everything that Vivek and Elon are proposing to do. But it really is a drop in the ocean. Those items are, but you have to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.
And it makes sense to start with the stuff that's the easiest. The first thing you want to start with is the stuff that's most likely to be successful in your efforts and has a big payoff.
Yes, so elimination of, say, a department that we don't need.
You mean
the Department of
the
Education.
Department of Washington, D.C.?
That would be a good one. That'd be a good place to start. But I'm pretty excited by that, and I hope that something good comes of it. But anyway, you want to touch real quick on, I don't know which one to use. Hegseth Neely.
Oh, probably Neely.
Okay. So Neely, today, part of the squad, Ayanna Pressley said, she may have said it last night, I'm not sure. She said that he was lynched by Daniel Penny, which, and I saw his dad. This really aggravated me. His father was on TV, and I certainly understand the grief of the loss of the child. But what I wonder is, where was he when his kid was running up a record of, I don't know how many. I mean, he kidnapped a 7-year-old girl. He punched a 64-year-old man in the face, hit a 67-year-old woman as she exited the subway, breaking her nose and fracturing her eye bone. So anyway, 44 arrests, nothing from his dad during all that. And, of course, it's unfortunate that he died, but Daniel Penny did not deserve to be arrested for that. And I think justice was done, and I'm encouraged that a New York jury would be able to do that because, maybe it's just another side of the tide turning. But anyway, this is Baldy and the Blonde. I'm Michele Godin here with Tom Coe. It's every Wednesday at 4. You can follow us at Baldy Blonde on X, baldyandtheblonde.com, where our shows appear commercial-free.